BradleyATG here up against Creature. This was filmed as part of Priest XES's King of the Hill stream on Fridays. I'll post a link down in the bottom. This match up against Creature, trying something a little new. You'll see in just a second here. I went online and pulled some stats on Creature, so give you a little background. Creature's played a total of 344 games. Very experienced player, plays a lot of substrate, and a decent amount of PHC as well, with a win ratio of overall 64%. So definitely a very experienced and good player. Specifically, Creature and I have not played against each other too many times. I think we played one match against each other, and I ended up pulling out the win in that one. So, not a lot of experience playing against Creature here, but I think it's going to be a great match. So, right off the start here, you can see in the background, got off to a great start on this map. Got the 2-cap. I've got this one worker right over here near the radioactives, starting on my factory, and then I'm going to start building sort of the brutes, archers, and the medics and start pushing them up around to the left. Meanwhile, my second worker is completing the metal extracts, and then as soon as he's done, we're going to go straight into an orbital fabricator. All right, so we've got the factory up. That's going to start pumping out units. I'm going to have my worker help rush out the first couple there, just to try and pick up the pace a little bit on capturing that next metal node. When I play, I find I struggle with PHC to have enough metal, so I try to rush those first couple of guys out there because it gives me those 2 extra metal points quickly. Just waiting for the last archer to come up there. I'm going to group up those units, and then hopefully I'll be setting up a queue order for those guys to start tacking the rest of the nodes up around the left. So I got my armory started, getting a good mix of units there to start just sort of building the backbone of the army. Looks like I'm starting to capture that first node there, setting up the path for those tier 1 units to sort of go up and then to the left to capture those nodes there. I'm going to send my worker out here to build a radio tower. This is going to give me vision over the center of the map. This center terrenium control is important, especially on this map. The bases are relatively pretty close together, so that's always a hot bed of activity in these games. I was here just waiting to start to get the engagement, changing the build order a little bit on my units. Want to make sure I'm getting not just the AA out, but also getting some more bulky units to start pushing into the center terrenium. So with the radar up, the idea being here is now I can drop artillery units up behind that radar, and they're going to start bombarding down on the command center in the point. I also have got some AA up just in case the substrate famous AA rush comes. I will be able to push, hopefully defend that. Looks like that worker didn't like the first time I got him on the orders to go capture those points, so the worker is going to go out and capture that metal for me. Economically, I'm sitting in a good position. I've got a positive both on metals and radioactive, but I'm not sitting at full capacity in either, so I'm doing an effective job of pumping out units here. At this point in the game, I'm sitting in a good position. My units economically were about even in terms of nodes. I'm probably actually 1 or 2 behind at this point, but we're very close. So my 4 fabricators up. I've got some units here. I'm going to push and drop an early drone bay in the center there. If I can get that drone bay in. Oh, okay. So we've got a drop behind my lines here, which is problematic, right? He dropped in right around my armory. This is going to be bad. So I'm frantically trying here to do some damage control. I'm trying to speed up the production on my factory there using an orbital call down ability. And now I'm calling back all of my bulky units to try and capture, try and minimize the damage. I've got a lot of metal here, so also I know I'm going to have to rebuild, so I'm pumping out another worker right now. I do have a worker who's not doing anything right now, but I'm just trying to survive at this point. I see there's a couple, 3 more units pulling in. I think that shouldn't be a problem I should be able to take care of. So I have been able to survive the drop, but now the issue is I have no factories and no armories up. So I've got worker up in the top there building a factory. I'm going to start dropping another factory down here at the bottom. Now, at the same time, I know to rush doing that drop, creature must have focused, not on building units or base defenses. He had to focus on building orbital stuff, right? So fabricator or whatever the substrate equivalent. So at this point, I'm going to play aggressive. I'm not going to sit back and wait. I'm going to push right into the base here. Also note, when I was recording this, I'm switching to OBS, and the multi-track is messing up a little bit for me, so I don't actually have any game sounds on this. I think I fixed it for games going forward. Still trying to learn out this video editing, so I appreciate your patience with me as I learn. So back here in the back, so now I've got 3 factories up. I'm going to start having them pump out units. I'm going to get another air. I'm going to get an air factory or sky factory going, and I've got an armory coming up by my nexus there. So looking at the back, I'm in a good position. Well, look at that. That sky factory was too close, so it's getting bombarded by the creeps up on there. So this main unit is pushing up. I got my drone bay up in center, so I'm in a very comfortable position there. And like I said, this is a pretty good bulk of units. I've got a fair amount of brutes. I've got some Athenas in the mix, and I got an Apollo that can take out any drones that are being thrown my way. So those guys are going to keep pushing in the center. While it's doing that, I'm going to focus on keep building up my base. So center here, I'm going to try and get another armory up, setting up my construction and rally points here to make sure everything's moving up to the front. So now what I'm trying to do here is that he's weak. I'm in his base at this point. So now I really want to try and see if I can debilitate his economy by capturing these 2 nodes. So I'm going to try and capture this metal one here first, and then I'm going to swing up and try and capture the radioactives here. And again, pushing, being aggressive, theorizing with that drop of units that he sunk a lot of his economic resources into that versus building base defenses. Now, economically, though, he controls way more nodes than me at this point. So I'm in a dangerous position if I don't cut off his economy there. He's got down south at the bottom of the map, he's sort of coming around that way. Up north, he's got captured all of that, and really, I don't have anything on south of the map. I've redirected all of my forces really onto a broad attack. Noticing that at this point, I'm going to start redirecting some units in the back that are coming out now to try and start looping down around the south to balance that out. So while I'm setting all that up, hopefully my units in the center are still doing a good job. We'll have to swing back and check them out. In commander view, just setting that up, that command group. I like doing that so I don't have to worry about them and they just sort of automate on their own. So at this point, I was able to capture that metal point, and the radioactive point is now up for grabs. So now it's just a question of if I can hold these 2 points. He's got no economic resources really to speak of. He's only got I think it is 3 metal points around his nexus. So if I can hold this point, I'll be fine. One thing I'm very worried about is orbital abilities. And see, one thing glitch in this game, so I used a engineer drop there. And the engineer drop, for some reason, seems to group any engineers on your screen together, which I didn't like. So that's what I was switching up what the engineers were doing there. So in engineer 1, I have building a orbital nullifier, which I just messed up, and he switched to a radio. Sorry, not a radio, a radar. I noticed what happened. So he's going to finish the radar, and then he's going to finish the orbital. So what I'm doing with the radar is I know I have some Athenas in my army group there. See, radar's up. Now I can see into the nexus area, so I can start bombarding without having to risk my units of getting in range of getting blown up. And I'm also back here building a Smarty turret, which I'll upgrade into our artillery. That artillery should have range to hit everything in the base here. So as you see here, sort of the last hurrah, whatever units he had capturing the nodes and the rest of the map have now come back to try and save his units. But I don't think it's going to be enough here. I'm going to be able to hold off. He picked off my worker, but I still got a very beefy group of units there, more coming by the moment. I've got that one Smarty turret. I'm going to start upgrading that up to an artillery. At this point, it's going to be very difficult for Creature to get me out of this position. Although he does control more nodes overall, they're cut off because I control the two leading to his nexus, so he's not getting any resources from that. We can see the top right corner, economic strength is down to 3. My scale is up at 3,000, so I think we've got this one in the bag. Not much he can do at this point. If he did have enough quanta to do maybe like a drone or a detonator or something like that, I would be venerable. But at this point, uh, so early in the game, we're only about 13, 14 minutes into the game here. Less than that, under 10 minutes into the game, I would be surprised if he would have been able to build up that quanta. So now just doing some housekeeping at the back. I think we've got this one, and this plays out. So let me know what you like of this video, guys. I'm trying to up my game in terms of video quality here. So I changed video capture from shadow play, now using OBS, and also trying to figure out this multi-track audio. So it will be the only game I think without any game audio. After this, I fixed the problem and I should be able to capture. So hang with me, guys. Any suggestions you have are greatly appreciated as I learn to do this. And let's see. So we're typing backwards and forwards. I think this is going to be it. It's got some base defenses up, but again, I've got my Athenas. Very good bunch of units here. Those are not going to destroy that chunky unit. Got my orbital defense up, or orbital nullifier up, so now I'm relatively safe. Taking out that last pusher unit, that worker he got out, and just counting down the time at this point. I've got my units down on the south of the map. Again, they're going and catching those nodes, so my economics coming up. Nope, and we got the GGing it out. So, absolutely fantastic game. As always, guys, if you want to see more, please hit the subscribe down on the right and check out the playlist on the left for more fantastic videos. I will catch you on the next one, guys.